Hey everybody, it is Maya Zahira here with Psychic Protection Sanctuary, and I'm doing an impromptu Facebook Live here in my free Facebook group, Psychic Protection Sanctuary. And hi Jessica, good to see you. So I just want to give you guys a heads up. This is going to be a little different than how I usually do things. I usually do my Facebook Lives really kind of like a class. I mean, I'll have notes mapped out ahead of time, but I don't have that today. I literally just wanted to jump on here and just talk. So it's probably going to be a bit rambly, but it felt important to do this. So even though I don't have notes, I am certain that there are going to be some important things discussed. Today has been one of those days when I have just felt really fired up about things that I'm seeing in the spiritual world, in the spiritual community. Well, you know, I'm at home today. It's the fall of 2020, so it's COVID time. So right now I'm speaking of the spiritual world, spiritual communities online on social media. But once we are engaging and interacting in person again, you know, these things are going to be showing up there as well. So I want to say hi to Jessica. Thank you for being here. My one person. Usually we have a lot of people joining live because it's usually a scheduled time, and announced ahead of time, but not today. And actually, I actually thought about just recording this on my phone and then uploading it, but thought, you know, if there's somebody who wants to be here live, let's give them that opportunity. So, so good to see you. And we've got Stacy here as well. Hi there. Cool. So, you may have noticed that when you're scrolling through Facebook or whatever social media, that if you're commenting on someone else's post, or if you're a member in someone else's group, you know, you can sort of state your own opinion, but it's really that person's energy, right? It's like that person's post, that person's group, that person's page, and they really have sovereignty over like whatever they want to talk about on their page or in their group. And I totally respect that, by the way. Like, I really believe that everybody has the freedom to cultivate whatever they want on their Facebook. And I do the same on mine. If there's people posting weird stuff in my group that's like really off target of the vision that I want for us to be focusing on, like I delete it. That's what group administrators are for. So I have no issue with that. But the reason why I'm coming onto my group is because it is my group, and I can get on my soapbox and I can talk and talk and talk to whoever wants to listen. So thank you for whoever is listening. This is going to be uploaded onto my YouTube channel as usual. So shout out to YouTube people as well. So, what I wanted to do is make some comments about a post that I am looking at right now, that I'm not going to tell you where I'm seeing it because I do want to respect anonymity and privacy of the people who are posting in a group that's not my group. But the topic that I really want to focus on is about false light. Okay, so let me define that before I get into talking about this post that I'm looking at that I'm finding so problematic. Hi, Patricia. Good to see you. So, and pardon the squeaky chair. I know I have a really noisy chair. I don't know if you guys can hear it or not. Okay, so false light. Let's talk about what a false light entity is. So a false light entity is a negative spiritual being of any type. There's lots of different negative spiritual beings out there. It's a negative spiritual being that is pretending to be either beneficial, or it's outright pretending to be something completely different than what it actually is. So it's a really bad entity, and it's pretending to be like Archangel Michael or something like that. So in the first description, what I was meaning was like sometimes there are beings that are presenting themselves as what they are, like, hi, I'm alien so-and-so, I'm from the planet so-and-so, and I'm wanting to communicate with you. And that's true. Like, maybe that's true. And they're not shape-shifting, pretending to be a completely different being. But the problem is that they're lying and saying that they are beneficial and that they're trying to be helpful to you or to the whole human race or to the whole planet, when actually they have a hidden agenda. So I consider that to be false light, as well as those beings that are completely shape-shifting imposter kinds of entities, like the djinn or the demon or the mischievous spirit that is shape-shifting to pretend to be Archangel Michael or Jesus or Ascended Master so-and-so. Okay, there's so much of that. It is crazy. So here's the thing. Here's why I know so much about this. And those of you who've read my book or who've been listening to me on my soapbox for the last handful of years know why, but just bear with me while I explain this briefly again. So I know all about this stuff, false light, and I have what I've been jokingly calling lately a spidey sense for this stuff, because even though I have been very intuitive my entire life, I've had a lot of different psychic experiences, I didn't really awaken the particular spidey sense of being able to discern false light and illusion until 2016, when I went through a major psychic attack. I'm not going to go through the whole story, but the significant part here is that I very naively decided to start working with a spiritual teacher who I thought was a colleague, who I thought was a beneficial colleague, and who said that she worked with beneficial beings, which actually I think she still believes that she's working with a beneficial being or beneficial beings. I'm pretty sure at this point she still believes that. But what happened was I came under major attack, spiritual warfare, psychic attack for 6 weeks. Crazy paranormal activity in my home. It was insane and truly terrifying. And actually I thought it got so bad that I thought maybe this thing was going to try to kill me. And not to try to scare you guys, but I want to really emphasize that I know what the F I'm talking about here. And I get really fired up. In hindsight, I think for whatever reason, going through that really not only caused an additional spiritual awakening for me, which it did. I had experienced a huge download of spiritual knowledge in the months that followed and then continuing. But the other thing that happened was I suddenly had this ability to discern false light and illusion, false spiritual teachings, false teachers, false entities, all of the above. It's like I can see it like the nose on someone's face. It's like just so easy for me to see. And I will admit that there are a lot of times when I have a full range of emotions over it. I will feel, because when I'm engaging with people, whether it's online or in person, I'll feel this full range of emotions from, like, I'm just being honest here, frustration, annoyance. Like, why can't you see this? It's just like plain as day. And I try to remind myself that, like, they didn't go through what I went through, so they can't see it. But then I also feel depression and hopelessness and despair, because it's like I can see this thing that, like, the emperor has no clothes. Can't anyone see that the emperor has no clothes? And all these people can't see it. It's like there's this veil, this illusion. What I have noticed, though, and some of my students who hear this replay later will probably laugh ruefully over this, because they know, one of the things that I've noticed is that even though there's a lot of people that can't see it, over the last couple of years, I've come to realize that the few people that I know who can really tune into this stuff really well are my students. And especially those who've worked with me really from the beginning of their deeper spiritual journeys. And this is not about me. I'm not saying this is about me. That's not what I mean at all. I just think it's interesting, because I will notice if I meet someone who's a lot further along in their journey and they've already been deeply brainwashed and indoctrinated into all of this false matrix, that when I will try to teach them or show them things or explain to them that this is false or that is false, often what happens is they will very quickly leave. Like, I've often had people who have been in my groups, and then as soon as I start pointing out what is false, they're like, bye, I'm leaving. And it's usually in a friendly way, but it's like, it's cognitive dissonance. They want to believe the false matrix crap that they've been involved with. And this is where I get into feelings of hopelessness, because it's like I want to help people see what's the truth. I mean, I can see it. But when people aren't able to see it, or they don't want to see it, or it's out of their comfort zone, I mean, as we all know, you can't force anyone to see these things. And that circles me back around to why I'm actually here rambling and ranting on this Facebook Live. It's because about an hour ago, I saw a post in a different Facebook group that's not my group. And I knew, I sat there with my fingers hovered above the keyboard thinking, should I say something? Should I say something? And then I finally said, it's not worth it, because when I say something, it just falls upon deaf ears, or there's a lot of pushback, like, how dare you say that? Because the thing is this person who was posting about their experience, a spiritual experience that they've had, I read their question, and it's a very well-meaning question. Like, I have no complaint about this person. I don't know them personally, but the person seems perfectly like a decent human being. Their question is a legitimate question. But the moment that I read it, I immediately, because I have this strong spidey sense, I immediately knew 100% without a doubt what they are dealing with is a false light entity situation. But if I point that out, like, they don't hear it. They don't hear it. So that's why we're here. I did notice that there's a couple of comments. So I want to just, from you guys. So I want to just check comments really quick. And then I want to read over some of the conversation that's in this group. that's in this other group, just for us to have a conversation, right? So, because this is my alternative to, instead of trying to have a conversation in that group that falls upon deaf ears, I wanted to create something that those who are open to listening or receiving some of this, that I can record this and then put this wherever I want on YouTube or whatever, so that hopefully it can make a difference. So let me read these comments here. We have, oh, hi, Karen, a new Facebook friend. Rose says hi. Karen says, dropping in for a minute, we'll rewatch. Thank you. All right, that's cool. Stephanie, hi. Yeah, Stephanie, I was kind of referring to you a minute ago when I don't know how long ago you got here, but I mentioned about how some of the few people that I know who really have developed that spidey sense for discerning false light are my students, and like you included. Stephanie's been working with me for several years now, so I'm glad that you're here. I was wondering if you would join us tonight. So I'm going to get a quick drink, you guys. It kind of feels like I'm on a radio show, on a radio broadcast, since we're doing this on audio. Yeah, and by the way, it's the Sunday before Thanksgiving. I'm taking this week off from clients, and so I literally had just woken up from a nap, and I was going to do, a few little office-y tasks that I don't ever have time to do when I'm busy working with my normal schedule, and I decided to do this instead. So I've got like bedhead because I took an hour-long Sunday nap. So that's why we're doing it on audio. It's very unfiltered. And Stephanie says, I just got on. Okay, let me get a drink, and then we're going to talk about this post about false light. Yeah, sorry for the slurpy sounds. I don't edit my videos, so we're going to just keep on going. Okay, so again, I'm going to keep the name of this group, of the group that we're referring to. I'm going to keep it confidential because, I don't think anybody would like it if somebody was like publicly reading their name or their comments and posting it to YouTube. So I'm going to leave names out of this. And honestly, I do feel okay about doing this with leaving the name of the group anonymous and the people anonymous. I feel okay about doing this because this issue is so prevalent. Like this could be me going into any spiritual group like any day of the week and just reading any random posts and doing the same thing. This one just happens to be a really good example. Okay, but first I'm going to read what Stephanie says. Yes, it's been a great journey and definitely eye-opening to keep learning about false light. Hey, just an aside. So I've lost track. It was like maybe 12, 13 years ago, long time ago, I did a legal name change. And so, but I mean, everybody that knows me as Maya Zahira. But it didn't occur to me until about a year or two ago that the name that I chose for myself is very suitable for the work that I do. And I did not know that at the time because I hadn't had this false light experience back when I chose this name. So Maya, the name Maya is, excuse me, it refers to illusion. It's all about the Maya, the illusion, that there are all these layers of illusion that we must, that life itself is an illusion. And Zahira means luminous. And like a lot of the false light entities that I see, because I'm clairvoyant and all the other clairs, a lot of the false light entities that I see, they present themselves as these like beautiful, luminous beings of light. So it really fascinates me that the name that I chose is the name, my, like, illusion and luminous light. That's interesting. And it also makes me wonder if the fact that I do think that our names have vibration, and if we've been given a name or we choose a name, it actually can shift the trajectory of our lives or change the vibration of your life purpose. And so anyway, I'm going on a little tangent. I haven't talked about this like ever. So now you guys know. It's very interesting. Anyway, so it makes me wonder if the fact that I chose that name put me on this path, but it has not been an easy path. I tell you what, guys, to like ignorance would be bliss, because I used to fit in with all these wonderful spiritual circles, and I used to have all these friends and channeling groups, and like now I'm like, I can't participate in that. It's dangerous. Of course, I said ignorance would be bliss, but I definitely don't want to be ignorant. I don't want to unknow what I know, but it sure was easier back then. Okay, let's get to these comments, to this post in this other group. So there is a person who is talking about how they had a crown chakra communication with various entities. And they're feeling very alone because what they've experienced seems incredibly unbelievable at first, even to those with a solid spiritual background. Well, actually, I totally believe it, but like, I totally believe this person is having a crown chakra spiritual communication. I've experienced it before, and I know it's a real thing. I know there's a whole bunch of different kinds of communications that can happen. And I will say, the second that I read this person's question, I immediately knew that, yes, it's a real thing that's happening to him, but these are false light entities that are communicating with him. And I've got to say, you guys, that is the norm. And, I just mentioned a moment ago that I've had some crown chakra communications. I've had brow chakra communications where something was blasted into my head through my third eye. I've had a variety of different kinds of communications, and because I had such a strong spidey sense for what is false light, I knew right away that it was false light and not like a genuine positive experience. That's the only reason that I knew. And so this is also why I know how difficult it is to discern and how easy it is to be fooled. Because like, actually, how many months ago, like 6 months ago-ish, here in Tucson, I had an encounter with a false light entity. I'm not going to say where I went to, but I went to a place that is supposed to be a beneficial place. And immediately when I went in there, I felt that something was off, and I heard a really high-pitched vibration. And I immediately was alerted that this thing was going to try to follow me home. I knew that at this location, they have a lot of spiritual classes and a lot of channelings. And I said, oh crap, they've got a false light entity that has taken up camp here and tries to connect with all the people who come through here. And it thought that it was a good idea to hitchhike with me. It was now this is not the scenario that I'm talking about from 2016. This is recent. It was very upsetting. There were a lot of really crappy and upsetting aspects to that scenario. I'm not going to go through the whole story, but I will say that the beneficial aspect of it is that it helped me hone my skills even more, because I saw and experienced even more exactly how this thing was operating. It was trying to send messages. In this case, this particular entity from this local place, it was trying to drop messages down through my crown chakra, just like this person who's posting has been talking about. It was saying that it was, it actually went through a whole bunch of different approaches. It was trying to pretend to be a council of alien beings, because it wanted to tell me the truth of our reality. Because see, here's the thing, is a lot of these false light entities will play upon whatever you are seeking or whatever your vulnerabilities are. And I knew, like in that previous week in my prayers, this is how insidious this shit is. It just pisses me off. In my prayers, I had been asking, like deep longing. I want to know, I want to be shown the next layer of the truth. I want to know what is really going on, because I can see that there's all this illusion. There's all these things that we're being told and shown are not really true. I want to be shown, I want to know the truth. And so I had been praying this very heartfelt prayer all week. And then when I encountered this entity, it tried to pretend to be this council of aliens. And it said that I knew that I was seeking answers, and that it wanted me to channel these messages. And like, the only reason I knew that it was false was because I already had that spidey sense from what had happened to me in 2016. And I can't even describe like how I know. It's like I'm tuned in on a certain frequency. Really, I think maybe due to trauma. I like that trauma in 2016 tuned me in to a certain frequency that most people are not tuned into. But I have hope that, excuse me, over time, more people will be able to discern that frequency, be able to discern false light. I do have hope, which is why, oh, my nightly alarm just went off. I hope that wasn't too loud. So I know what I'm talking about here. And I'm not just assuming because this person had a crown chakra communication that all crown chakra communications are necessarily bad. I'm very, in my overall approach to spiritual matters, to life in general, I am very moderate in my approach, in that I don't just throw blanket assumptions all over everything. Every single thing that I encounter in the world, I run it through my spidey sense and my intuition. Okay. So I saw this person posting about how they had this crown chakra communication and how they're feeling very alone, which I really feel for this person. But, if I pop onto their post and say, hey, I really want to help you. You have a false light entity. Like really 9 times out of 10, probably more often than that, when I tell someone that point blank, like in a straightforward way, they don't want to hear it. And here's the other thing. This sounds really creepy, but whatever entity is working through them that has enmeshed with them, they trust that being, and that being will immediately tell them, well, what that lady is telling you is false and she's bad or whatever. Like it gives them some negative message about me. And so then it shuts them down. Like there's literally no way I can help this person. So, the only thing that I can do to help is come and shout from my soapbox in this group. So I'm going to go into the conversation that they're having, and various people are trying to give very helpful comments to this person. A few people do respond and say, please be careful and test all spirits. There were a few comments like that. I was really glad to see that. But most of the comments were from people saying that they had all these other similar experiences, which also felt very disheartening to me, because every person, as I tuned into each of these people's comments, it was all false light encounter, false light encounter, false light encounter. And all these people are just like trapped in this false light matrix web. Okay, let's read what our comments are in my group here. Hi, you guys. Nick says, I found you. Yay. Hi, Amara. It's good to see you. Stephanie says, yes. And it is sad that so many books that are out there. Hang on. Let me try to get the full comment. Yes. And it is sad that so many books that are out there on Amazon are really full of false light. People saying they channeled this book, but it's really false information coming through false light entities. Thank you, Stephanie. I agree wholeheartedly. And here's how that works. What Stephanie said. Here's how that works. So you might be thinking, well, no one would believe it if it's all false light. If it's all lies, like no one would believe that. But I want you to think in terms of the approach of a sociopath or a narcissist, which most of these false light entities really, to me, they feel like sociopaths, psychopaths, narcissists, kinds of personalities. That's how they feel like to me. That's what their approach is. So someone who's a sociopath, for example, and they are trying to manipulate a person or people, what they're going to do is they're going to give 80% truth and like all sorts of like wonderful, compelling, like fluffy, lovely, wonderful information. And the 20% is false information. And those percentages might be a little bit different one way or the other, but basically, it's going to be the 80-20 rule. They're going to give mostly truth so that it's believable. And then there are threads of untruth with the intention to manipulate for whatever the agenda is. Okay. And I would say, just speaking generally here, the false light agenda is to keep all of these genuine spiritual seekers chasing their tails, just chasing their tails and or like following the Pied Piper, like, oh, listen to that beautiful music. It's so wonderful. And they're being led like off, off some random place instead of where they're supposed to be going. One of my other heartbreaks and frustrations is that I often will see New Age teachers, spiritual teachers, and even teachers in the truther movement, also sometimes referred to as conspiracy theory movement, whatever you want to call it, who are outside of the New Age movement, who are, maybe talking about some more fringe kinds of things. But in all of those categories, excuse me, in all of those categories, one of my deepest heartbreaks and frustrations is when I see people, excuse me, I must be getting really fired up because it's really getting my throat chakra. Let me get a drink. Is when I see these teachers who are talking about how you need to be careful of false light, and meanwhile they're completely infested with false light. Like they are channeling false light messages, or they've been completely hijacked mentally, emotionally, spiritually, or there's a variety of different issues. I've seen different things with different teachers. I wish that wasn't true. Like I want to have more people who are speaking the truth. But there's just especially the teachers in the truther movement who are saying that they're uncovering the truth of what's going on in the dark cabal and blah blah blah. I absolutely believe that there's a lot of really dark stuff going on our planet. The problem is that there's so much hijacking even of those teachers who are leading the truther movement. And I'm not going to name any names here, but I bring that to mind simply because some of those teachers were commented on in this thread that I'm discussing today. That there were people who hopped on and said, you should really listen to so-and-so, they're amazing. And it breaks my heart. It makes me so sad and frustrated, because it's like as soon as people, I'm going to use the analogy of the Matrix, meaning that like you're asleep within an illusion, like in the movie The Matrix. Maybe not literally, it's not that we're literally living out the movie The Matrix, but that whenever people begin to wake up from the illusion, or they begin to wake up from the Matrix, they're immediately put into another matrix, another level of illusion. So like, okay, they're in mainstream society, and they begin to wake up. And so they're immediately put into New Age, false light teachings like, oh, I've had this spiritual awakening and now I'm involved in all this New Age stuff, and I'm going to all these channeling events. And so now they've woken up from one illusion into another illusion. And then, let's say 10 years later, they start to realize something is really wrong. And they start to hear some material by a truther, a conspiracy theorist on, and by the way, I don't use conspiracy theorist as a negative connotation, by the way. That's just a phrase, a descriptor. So maybe they hear a conspiracy theorist talking about some things on YouTube, and they begin to wake up from the illusion that they were currently in. They wake up, they're immediately, the negative forces that be immediately toss them into the next new program. And it's like computer programs. Let's throw them into the next program of false programming, which is, this other false matrix of all these other false teachings or partially hijacked teachings, right? So no one is ever seeing the truth. And one reason why that's so easy for that to happen is because people are hurting and people feel lost and confused, and they want to follow someone. They want to follow someone. So they step outside of the box of mainstream and they find a guru or a spiritual center that feels very comforting to them. I get it. And then they start to follow all the teachings of that group or that teacher. And then they start to realize something is off, something is wrong. And so then they find a teacher or teachers in the truther movement. And then they just like glom onto that person, onto that person's teachings, and they believe everything that they tell them. And it's not because they're stupid. I'm not saying that people are stupid. I'm saying people are scared and they feel lost and they want someone to give them the answers. They want to follow, so they want to have someone to follow. But the truth is that there's false light, like everything around us is so freaking hijacked that, you guys, tough love from Mama Bear Maya. You guys have to develop your own spidey sense, your own intuitive filters. Please stop just believing everything that whatever spiritual teachers say. Like, if you stop believing everything that I say because you're listening to yourself, I will be so happy. Like, because I want you to learn to develop your own discernment. Stop blindly following these teachers. That's how all this false light is getting away with this shit, because people are scared and they want to latch onto a teacher or teachers that have the answers. And so some of the primary targets for false light are spiritual teachers, right? So that probably makes sense now, right? Because all of the teachers in the New Age and in the Truther movement, that all of the teachers are the ones who all of the seekers are looking to for answers. And I literally had a really wonderful colleague of mine a couple weeks ago who I deeply respect, who works in a similar field to mine. But I was, again, very disheartened because he sent me a link to a Facebook group, and he said, or it was a page or some Facebook something. And he said, this person's teachings are amazing. If you're not following her already, you should really follow her. So I clicked on to the page. I looked around. I thought, I'm not really feeling that resonance that this person seems to want me to feel. But I was curious, so I clicked on one of the videos, and like literally within a couple of seconds of the video starting, there was I immediately saw a false light entity. It appeared in my office. So, in my office where I'm sitting right now, I have my laptop opened up. And so like literally on the opposite side of the laptop, so straight ahead of me, this entity just appeared as a result of me turning on that video. And I'm like, okay, well, this spiritual teacher is completely hijacked, because she was talking about, well, this morning in my meditation, my guides told me this, my guides told me that. And I'm listening to her and I'm like, girl, those aren't your guides. That's something else. But of course, like, if I tell her, is she going to believe me? No. I mean, she has multiple thousands of followers. Okay. And she's teaching people how to ascend, like how to manage the ascension process to 5D, how to, I don't know if she talked about false light, but she talked about discernment and how you have to be careful with different spirits and blah, blah, blah. And it was so fascinating that she was even saying that, because she was totally channeling a false light entity. That was the thing that was working through her. And that's like a total mind F, is that people think that, so followers seekers think that, okay, now they understand there's this thing called the false light agenda. And so they find a teacher or teachers who maybe have the truth on this. And they start watching all their videos, not even realizing those people are hijacked too. Like, where the hell do you get the truth from? And so it's no wonder I end up, feeling so frustrated and depressed and everything. This video isn't about me talking about how depressing it is, but I will say once again that I do have hope that in time, I do think that people are going to begin to wake up more. But just remember that every time you think that you've woken up, you may still be in a dream, because that's how this stuff works. Okay, so I'm just kind of laughing right now to myself because I said at the beginning that I was going to be rambling and on my soapbox, and that is exactly what we have been doing. So let's look at Stephanie's comment. Yes, and it's the one program after the other until you develop your own internal discernment and spidey sense. Yeah, she knows. Stephanie knows. I've seen her develop her spidey sense over the years. Okay, so back to what initiated this rant in the first place was this post on this other Facebook group where this person was talking about crown chakra communications that they've had. Let me look at some of the comments here. So give me a moment, give me some grace here while because again, I didn't prepare notes. There's a lot of people who are giving supportive comments, which I think it's good that people are being supportive, but it's basically like, I've had that experience as well, and I think it's wonderful. And it sounds amazing. It sounds beautiful. I believe you. So on the surface, it's wonderful. People are being supportive of him because they just don't know. Excuse me, they don't realize that what's actually happening. So, and again, thank you for your patience. I want to scroll down to see if anything hits me. There's people talking about having experiences with channeling spiritual beings. There's people talking about experiences with extraterrestrial beings, which again, remember before I said that I have, I think, a very moderate view that I'm not throwing the baby out with the bathwater. I think there are spiritual messages that can come through that are legitimate, but we have to have a very strong filter. And also possibly extraterrestrial. It doesn't seem logical to believe that every single extraterrestrial is false light, right? So I'm not going to go on that extreme. So I do think that there can be legitimate experiences. But what I've seen with my spidey sense is, gosh, most of the experiences that I see people talking about, and this is whether on social media or my clients are coming to me because something seems a little bit off, 9 times out of 10, like really more than 9 times out of 10, it's false light. It's not even legitimate. Okay, let's see what other comments we have. And I welcome your questions and comments as well. Okay, so here's one that really stood out to me. This person says, sounds like an amazing experience. Check out so-and-so spiritual truth or teacher on YouTube. She links, so this person is recommending a particular teacher that I already know about. who is a spiritual teacher slash truther. And she has a huge following, which I have no issue with. I don't care. But she's pretty well known among certain circles, is what I'm trying to say. So this person is recommending that the author of the post check out this person. And the person commenting says that this spiritual teacher and truther links increasing extraterrestrial contact with the current awakening. Now, what I did was I clicked on the video, and like I'm constantly educating myself on what's being talked about out there and what false information is going around. So I clicked on it and put it on my watch later list. So I haven't watched the video yet. And actually I wasn't in the mood. I have to it's kind of when you know that it's false content and that it's actually, when you're exposing yourself to content like that, sometimes there is basically intentional psychic attack that's happening to you when you are listening to it, whether it's subliminal brainwashing. I know this sounds really crazy, you guys, but I've seen it. So there's different brainwashing. There's different, like that one video with that other teacher that I clicked on, false light entity, like immediately popped up in my room. So like just from watching to like 10 seconds of that video. So I don't just randomly expose myself to all of these videos. I saved it on my watch later list so that when I'm in an energy, when I can listen to it and then clear myself fully afterwards, then I will. But on this person's comment, what I found really interesting is that she points out, she says that this teacher links increasing extraterrestrial contact. She links increasing extraterrestrial contact with the current awakening. So by awakening, I know that this truther teacher teaches a lot about the 5D awakening and how we are all shifting as a planet. We're shifting up to 5D, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to get into my thoughts on that, but it's basically a smoke screen. Actually, in one of my private groups, Psychic Protection Insiders, in about a week, I'm going to be talking about false ascension teachings. If you're interested, send me a message. I can get you. It's a really inexpensive group. It's anyway, I'm not trying to sell that group, but I don't really go that deep into all of that kind of stuff in this group. This group is mainly about understanding spiritual matters, psychic attack, and also developing your spiritual discernment. So I'm not going to go too far down that rabbit hole, but I find it really interesting. You know, it's a what do I want to call it? It's like a misdirection, intentional misdirection. Like, oh, hey, all these increased communications are a good thing. No, all of the increased communications are that the false light is upping their game. And one thing that's happening is that our field around the earth, we have more electricity and cell phone signals and Wi-Fi and 5G than ever before. Our planet, like the atmosphere of our planet, is completely electrified. Okay. That I've seen multiple examples in a smaller range that have led me to believe that on a planetary level, it makes total sense to me that now that our atmosphere is so different than it was before we had all of this electricity and Wi-Fi. Like I don't know about any of you who are listening to this who are also clairvoyant or psychic, but are y'all seeing a whole lot more entities and negative ones than ever before? And I think that is because of the technological, the electricity, the Wi-Fi. We just keep increasing it more and more and more. And so this particular teacher is talking about how, oh, this extraterrestrial contact is a good thing because it's all about our current 5D awakening to the fifth dimension, blah, blah, blah. Well, no, what's really happening is there are more negative entities coming through from the etheric realm than ever before. Our planet is not as safe as it was before in the spiritual sense. And there's a whole lot of hoodlums that have come through the veil than there ever used to be, in my observation. So it's interesting because this particular truther teacher, I'm pretty sure she does talk about, she speaks against the 5G cell phone signals and how that's problematic and everything. So it's really interesting. She's got these really compelling points, these truths, but then she is very pro awakening. Like it's this whole blissed out awakening thing. And it's totally false light. Totally false light. Like all these entities, these so-called entities that are communicating with everybody. Oh my God, it's totally false. And I try to be kind and I try to be patient, but I do get frustrated because I see like, I just see it all. And I think, how can you guys not see this? You know, I know that they mean well, but they're just not seeing it. Let me see what other comments we have. Oh, we've got Rochelle says, how do you know? I know I've been under attack for over a month. So being under attack is one thing. I'm sorry to hear that you're under attack. That is not easy. That's one thing. And discernment of spirits is kind of like another thing. It's kind of like apples and oranges. Because kind of what we're talking about here is when you don't realize that you're under attack and you think that you are immersed in truth or channeling a beautiful ascended being or whatever, and it's not a beautiful experience at all. It's actually, what you don't realize is that it's actually false. It's an illusion. It's a delusion, right? So if you know that you've been under attack, Rochelle, then you already know that you're dealing with a negative entity, right? So you know, you're asking, how do you know? You already know because you know that you're under attack. All the people who don't know are the ones who still believe that they're channeling Jesus when it's actually fake Jesus, right? But Rochelle, I hear you, and we're all here for you. So if you need more support, you can always make a separate post and tell us about what's going on with you if you feel comfortable, and we can give you a few tips on what to do. And then also, this is just for everybody's benefit in case you're in a situation like Rochelle. You can also go to my website, which is psychicprotectionsanctuary.com, psychicprotectionsanctuary.com, and click on Work with Maya, and you'll see a variety of different choices, different kinds of ways that you could work with me. And And this group is one way. I do offer a little bit. I do offer a little bit of free coaching. I don't do in-depth clearings, obviously, on here, but if you at least want to get some tips, you can make a post. Okay. Let me get another drink. Okay. Oh, the other thing that I was going to say in response to Rochelle's question is if you're new to this phenomenon about false light entities, or you want to understand about how psychic attack in general works and begin to learn a few methods for how to clear it, then I recommend my book, which is on Amazon. And that is Darkness Disguised as Light. Darkness Disguised as Light. The Hidden Truth About Psychic Protection and the Illusion Matrix. That will help you get started. It will help you understand a lot. However, depending on how serious and complex the situation is and how long it's been going on, you might need further support. But the book will help you understand a lot. Okay. Hi, Jeannie. I love you, Jeannie. Stephanie says, yes, when I'm going to watch a video from a teacher I know is false, I have to shield myself and do lots of clearing afterwards. You can feel the false light information just creep out across your skin, and it's so disturbing. Yeah, so Stephanie is somebody who already has a very strongly developed spidey sense because she's been working with me for many years and has really honed that skill. So I'm just explaining that because if this is new to you, then don't expect that you're going to suddenly be able to discern. It takes a lot of, I'm trying to think of what adjective I want to use. Like, it takes a lot of vigilance. Like you have to be really vigilant. Every time you feel like you want to just blindly believe what someone is saying in a video, you just have to go back to that hypervigilance and test every single thing that they're saying. Is this true? Is this true? Is this true? And these are the kinds of things, the methods that I teach in my Spiritual Empowerment Academy online. Because I can tell you, like, yeah, you need to be discerning about false light, but like, how do you do that if you don't know how? So there's a lot of different things. There's different methods that I break down for you to help you develop that skill. Nora, it is good to see you, girl. And Nora says, yes, the atmosphere is far more crowded with bad entities. Yes, it is. Nick says, yes, more of it. So true. Okay, let's see what else we got. Jessica says, hi. Rochelle says, definitely. Sounds good. Yes. And Jessica just typed out my website for everybody in case you want to see it. psychicprotectionsanctuary.com. Yep. That's it. I make it a point to have tons of free stuff out there, like including this talk that I've been doing in this free Facebook group. I really believe so strongly that I want every single person who wants support and wants help and wants guidance and wants the truth to be able to have access to it. So that's why I have tons of free stuff. There's a YouTube channel, Psychic Protection Sanctuary YouTube channel, and there's like a crazy number of hours of free content on there. And then of course, then this is what I do full time. This is how I pay for my very humble life. So I do charge for services and for my online program, but there's a ton of free stuff. So no matter who you are, you can binge watch, binge listen, and get a lot of info and practice that discernment skill when you're listening to whatever the heck I'm saying. Practice listening. Okay, is this true? Is this true? Is this true? right? So don't believe anyone, including me, right? You've got to develop your own discernment. Okay, let me see if there are any other comments on this thread that I am commenting, that I'm talking about. Okay, so there's someone who's saying hi to the original poster and saying, one of the books I have are, I guess their sentence is worded really weird, so I'll reword it. They're recommending a book, and they're saying that the book was channeled from ETs. I actually have this book, so just as an example that I don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, but I recognize, like, I'm constantly discerning, okay, what's truth, what needs to be thrown out, what needs to be kept. So I do have some books that are channeled, and I know that are non-beneficial channeling because I'm constantly educating myself and not hiding from it. But hey, you guys, I would understand if you wanted to keep yourself in a bubble for a while and just avoid all false content while you figure out how to tune into the truth frequency. If that's what you need, I think that is okay. But back to this person is recommending the book Opening to Channel, How to Connect with Your Guide. That is a very popular book. I can't remember who it's by. But that you could, if you were curious as to what I was talking about, you could look it up on Amazon. Again, it is false channeling, so it's not beneficial content, but they're recommending that. And they've actually taken a picture of the book. It's probably, I don't think that's the current cover of the book, but it's really fascinating to me as I look at the cover of the book that there's a common phenomenon that I see with false light material. And it's that often there are geometric symbols on, and there is this like weird light shape thing on the front of this book, Opening to Channel, at least the picture that this person has posted. I often will see that on the websites of people who are supposedly teaching how to get free from the matrix. And they're teaching all these techniques that they've channeled about how to get free from the matrix. And I open up those web pages and they are filled with these geometric shapes, symbols that are actually, and some of them, on some of the websites, the symbols are spinning in order to hypnotize you. And if you're paying attention, like if you ever click on one of those, pay attention to how you feel. You'll know that what I'm saying is true. I really believe this. If you tune into your being, you'll realize, oh, I'm getting zoned out right now. And that's because you're being hypnotized. Okay. So it's very interesting in this comment, the picture of the book, there is this geometric shape. It looks like an amoeba or something, a yellow amoeba, and then a fuchsia book cover. It literally looks like false light to me. But that's because I have that spidey sense and it's like crystal clear obvious to me. My cat wants to help with the class. She's crawling all over me. Let me see. I think we might be done. Oh, okay. They're also talking about a method, a healing method, which, out of respect, I'm not going to say the name of the method, but it is a very popular hypnosis method. And the person who taught the method that they're discussing in this thread was very frequently channeling false light, quote, alien beings. And when I've looked at pictures of this teacher, again, I have that really strong spidey sense and that clairvoyance. I've looked at pictures of this person who taught this hypnosis technique. And I can tell she's a very good person and very well-meaning. And that also she was, because she's passed over to the other side, that she was completely infested with false light and totally hijacked. But a good person who was really trying to help humankind with the work that she was doing. And that's the best kind of person to hijack, right? Exactly. So this healing technique is being recommended to this person who's asking the question. And several people are agreeing, yes, it's a wonderful technique, blah, blah, blah. I won't let anyone touch me with a 10-foot pole with that particular technique. Okay, so I want to read, there's one comment that I agree with. And it says, yes, but just be careful. Nothing is forbidden on the path to knowledge and truth. But that, I don't know if I agree with that. But that doesn't mean all spirits and beings are acting in our best interest. That sounds bad, but it's the same as on this earth. This person has so much common sense. Most people are decent when we get down to it, but there are people that are best avoided. As above, so below, as below, so above. Actually, I would disagree with part of this, and I would say right now, because of what's going on spiritually, there are a lot of negative entities. This person is implying that, like, most people are decent human beings, therefore probably most spirits are decent. And I would say that's an incorrect assumption. I think they have a nice thought there, but it's a little bit off. Let's see if there's anything else. I think I might be done going through comments on here. Give me just a moment. Oh, there's another comment. I actually clicked that I liked this one. This person says, I feel guided to remind you to test all spirits. Negative entities can be quite clever. And then they go on to talk about some other stuff. So I was like, yes, ditto. I agree with what that person said. But out of there's got to be 100 comments, 100 replies to this person's post. I think there were only two. And then, yeah, I see other things that I could comment on, but it's basically saying the same thing that I've already said before. There's people talking about things that they've channeled, different councils of aliens and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, okay, well, I already know that those are false light. That particular council of beings that they're talking about, I am fully aware is false light and is not beneficial for us. But in the New Age world, it's some of these councils of beings, we are indoctrinated to believe in the New Age world that these councils are very positive. Well, yeah, because they want us to believe that they're positive, but they are not. Okay, so I think I've gone through all of those comments. Now let me see if you guys have anything else to say. Jessica says, I've been watching and listening to your YouTube videos and it's helping. I'm so glad. I'm glad to hear that, Jessica. All right, Rochelle says, I had a very big shift on Halloween. A couple of days later, I became ill with COVID. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. A couple of days later, I was overcome with pain, and it took a day or so before I realized I was under attack. Yeah, because sometimes and I do this too, sometimes we just, our immediate assumption is that it's just something mundane. It's just a normal, I'm just sick, or it's just normal stuff. And sometimes it's not until we're in the thick of it that we realize, oh crap, there's something going on. Rochelle says, it was the scariest situation I've ever experienced. It took a while to figure out what was going on. I did a lot of praying and shields. Rochelle, just for the sake of wanting to give you a quick tip, and since we're not doing a private session here where I can get into a lot of methods to help you, I want to make sure you have a few. There's always a few quick fix methods that I can recommend to people on these Facebook Lives, and one of them would be a really good go-to is to burn frankincense resin. Now, that doesn't always fix everything, but until you can get help from either myself or another healer or specialist, and anyone who's listening to this who's having major issues, that's a quick fix, or it can at least help some of the issues subside, because negative entities do not like frankincense. Now, every spiritual being is different, so this is just general advice that I'm giving, but it tends to work like a bug bomb. And what I've noticed in the past is that when there's a dark spirit or there's psychic attack energy in the home, that burning frankincense and really smoking it up, creating a lot of smoke, hopefully not setting off your smoke detectors in the process, but creating a lot of smoke, it pushes that entity out. So at least you can have some respite. And in my experience, it usually pushes it out for a couple of days. But if the issue is really serious, then keep doing it every day or twice a day if the issue is really bad, until you can get somebody to help you. Okay, so that's my number one go-to emergency method. I hope I hope that the issue is already resolving, Rochelle, for you. But if not, try that. And I also, FYI, everybody, I'm not talking about incense sticks, because usually those are made with fake fragrance oils. So you want to go to your nearest metaphysical shop, or order off of Amazon, or order off of a trusted website, and buy those little pebbles, those little frankincense tears, and it's dried resin from the frankincense tree. Actually, I think the tree has a slightly different name. I don't know the Latin name. Sorry, guys. But look up frankincense resin, and you can also do a YouTube search, how to burn frankincense resin, if you don't know how already, and it'll show you that you need to have a little charcoal disc to burn it on. So you can look that up. Once you learn how to do it, it's really easy. But if you've never done it before, you might not know what I'm talking about. So try that. That's going to help you survive until you can get some help. Okay. All right. Stephanie says, and some websites have creepy Latin at the bottom of the page. Oh my God. I'm laughing. But in a creepy way right now, because Stephanie and I were chatting, I think it was last week, and we together found, we both discovered a website that had that. That's a whole other story. And it was not a page where there should have been Latin. I'll just say that. It was like about it was a web page about a healing modality. I'll just call it that. So it wasn't about like, it wasn't a page with like magical spells or something where you might expect to see maybe different languages or something. No, this was about a healing modality. It was all on the up and up, except for something felt really creepy. Like both of us felt like something was off. And then I scrolled further down and I said, oh my God, what is this? Is this Latin? And then I ran it through Google Translator to verify that it was Latin. And yes, it was Latin. Okay. On this like holistic website. and both of us, our spidey senses were right, that there was something really off about this method that had been hijacked. Like it was totally hijacked, a totally hijacked method, I guess is what I'll say, without going into all of the details of it. So this stuff is insidious. Like, you think you're going to a website that has a healing method. And the thing is about the dark forces is that usually what they will do is they will tell you in plain sight what they're doing. That happens a lot. So it didn't surprise, I was shocked, but it also didn't surprise me that, okay, they're actually like putting some kind of, I don't know if it was an incantation or what the heck it was, on this website, but that's a common thing that, quote, they do, is they will put things in plain sight because you don't even see it. You're not even looking for it. Yeah, Stephanie, I'm glad you reminded me of that weird story. Hi, Karen. Good to see you. Rochelle says, thank you. It's improving, but I definitely need more tools for protection. Yeah, FYI, you guys, with all of my tons of free videos, I've got so many free classes. Most of them are explaining all sorts of different things about how this stuff works. But I tend to reserve most of the methodology for the paid program. So just FYI, if you're looking through all the videos going, well, where do I learn how to clear this out? Well, that's actually in the paid program, but you will get a lot of understanding as to how this is happening, especially the videos on how psychological warfare works. It's going to help you really get free of that, the psychological aspects once you understand that part. So hopefully that's helpful to you, Rochelle. Stephanie says, I love burning frankincense resin. I bought a full pound on Amazon once. Yeah. So use your inner guidance as to where to buy your spiritual cleansing tools. Even stuff on Amazon can be weird and hijacked. So, because it can, you never know where you're getting it from. So like literally we have to be so hyper vigilant and pay attention to what our gut feeling says when we're trying to order something or tuning into spiritual content or a spiritual teacher, etc. So I think we are winding down for the night. I have no idea how long I talked, but it was a long time. So I'm really glad I was able to get on here and rant. And kind of the only reason why I was able to do that is because I'm on a flex schedule right now with it being Thanksgiving break and just catching up on stuff. So it was fun to get on here and share what's been on my mind. And I guess I'll just close by saying how much I appreciate all of you. I really appreciate that you are genuinely seeking the truth. And I'm not claiming that I know everything. I don't. I'm a seeker. I've had certain experiences that have tuned me in some unique ways, but I'm a seeker just like all of you, all of us are. And so I just really appreciate that seeking quality of each of you, and that's why you listened to the whole thing all the way to the end. So I really appreciate that. And, if there's anything that you ever want me to talk about in the future, if you're listening to this on YouTube or on Facebook, feel free to post a comment and let me know. And if it's in alignment with my vision for what I offer in the free content, then I'll definitely cover it. So I do already know that one of the topics that I'm going to cover in our upcoming official Facebook Live is going to be all about addiction and entity attachments. I guess today was all about weird social media stuff. And I was in a different Facebook group reading a comment where they were asking about substance addiction and excuse me, and entity attachments. And every time I tried to comment, the administrators kept deleting my comments. And I was like, okay, that's fine. I understand. I mean, it's their group. I mean, it's fine. It's fine. It was a little bit annoying, but it really, I believe it's their freedom to choose what they want on their group. I really, truly believe that. But that also prompted me to say, okay, well, we really need to cover that topic. I went through and looked at all my free videos, and I didn't see a video on that topic. I can't believe it. So we definitely need to talk about the phenomenon of addiction and entity attachments, because those two things usually go hand in hand. So we're going to get into that in our next Facebook Live, which will be, if you give me a second, I'll give you the date. It's at the beginning of December 7th. So it's always on the first Monday evening of the month in our Facebook group, Psychic Protection Sanctuary Facebook group. And then afterwards, I always upload the replay onto YouTube for all my wonderful YouTube people. So you can expect that coming. And if you have any other topics that you want me to cover or talk about, just let me know. And Stephanie's saying that I talked for about an hour and a half. Yeah, that's what I thought. It felt like about an hour and a half. Jessica says, thank you for this tonight. It's appreciated. You're very welcome. I really, truly care about you guys, and I appreciate you so much. And for those who are in the United States, I want to wish you a happy Thanksgiving week and a happy week to everyone all over the world. Thank you so much. Bless you.